This deck might be one of the strongest decks in the new Marvel Snap metagame. It's so strong that I debated skipping the entire day one decks video in order to just do a breakdown on this list. It was very close for me to just do this video a day ago. But I did manage to restrain myself, and now you get a full breakdown of a list that I think has a real shot at becoming a meta terror. This is a list that does point output in really powerful ways. That's not to say the metagame can't adapt to beat it. Things like Shadow King are extremely potent against what this list is bringing to bear, and I am sure there are other things as well. But when I played the early metagame of the post-nerf Marvel Snap world, it felt like this was just doing points in a much larger and more efficient way than many of the other things people were playing early. This feels like an easy pick for a deck that will sort of define what a metagame will look like. That's not to say that it's always going to be the best thing, because at a certain point, people will start to try to explicitly counter it, and that is a thing I think they will be able to do. But I do think that this is kind of an early pace setter for what the upcoming metagame is gonna look like. And the basic premise here is that we are just doing as many ridiculous things as we possibly can with Mother Askani. Mother Askani is the Star-Lord of this deck. The basic thing that we're trying to do here is play Mother Askani, and then once we've done that, our work is basically done for us because we have so many completely insane hits off of Mother Askani. A Captain Carter, God forbid we go Mother Askani into Grandmaster and get a second, even cheaper Captain Carter. That is an unbelievably powerful thing to do. You use those Captain Carters to pump up Mavericks, and you get an absolutely monstrous brood. I was playing broods for 51 power in this deck. You were just doing some really crazy stuff. Largely, this deck is built on compounding the things that already compound. I know they just nerfed a bunch of things that say double, but none of these things say double, but they do functionally double. Captain Carter Maverick, Captain Carter and Prodigy, Prodigy and Maverick. These are all ways to reach the heights of the things that just got nerfed without actually dealing with the things that just got nerfed. Even getting a Mother Askani on Wolverine Horseman of War gives you 2 3-cost Wolverines. That is just a really massive stat stick. I know people are going to ask about budget replacements. You do not need Wolverine for this. You could very easily replace him with a Juggernaut. Now, with all of that said, let's get into the card-by-card breakdown. Agony is nerfed, but is probably still a better card than America Chavez in a deck like this. Even though Chavez represents more output, Agony being able to target that output and also benefit from buffs is a particularly powerful thing to do. This is also a card that does get a little bit of thinking in. I have found that I have rather saved my Agony plays for after a Hope Summers. So if you have a Hope Summers and an Agony in hand and something to put that Agony on, a lot of the times I'm more interested in getting that Agony into my curve and generating that energy. I think it ends up coming out in the wash a lot of the time, but just make sure you think before always playing the Agony on turn 2. Sometimes you might get got by misordering it. Nightcrawler is a great card in a deck like this, A, because it lets you play a card, but B, because messing around with board space is actually kind of important. Well, there's going to be some times where you need to hit a specific card with a Prodigy, which means you need to have a card that is able to allow you to hit that specific card with a Prodigy. Nightcrawler is that card moving in and out of lanes to allow you to put your combos together in the most efficient and effective way. Very solid 1-cost card here. I want to be very clear about something. Grandmaster is for Mother Askani. You are very rarely doing things like buff a brood big and then Grandmaster it, because the way you got there is usually Grandmaster Mother Askani in the first place. So a lot of the time, this is just, hood misery type of relationship. You can do Giant Brood Grandmaster. It is a line you can do, but typically you will have used it in order to get to that spot. Now, you can do Silver Surfer Grandmaster, but typically you will just have better stuff to be doing in those turns. Largely, this is a Mother Askani bot. You might find other uses for it, but mostly that is what he's here for. This is a good Storm deck because it's really not giving up a lot to be a good Storm deck. It just wants to be able to buff a bunch of stuff and then Mother Askani a bunch of stuff, and then suddenly you're getting a bunch of extra points. It doesn't even matter if you play Mother Askani first or Storm first, she hits the entire hand, and don't forget that she hits the board as well. This is also one of your methods of playing around Shadow King. A big upside of Storm and Wolverine is that you are able to add points to lanes after they have Shadow Kinged you. There was a game where I had to play around a Shadow King by playing a Storm and 2 Wolverines. Thanks, Mother Askani. She did let me do that. And that was a particularly important aspect of what this thing can do. It's not the greatest thing. Most of the time, she's just double Nakia on 3. But a lot of the time, you can get a little bit more out of her than just that. There are a bunch of different finicky Captain Carter Maverick combos in the deck that just let you get a really big brood, and that is a lot of what the deck is trying to do. The basic thing is you set up like some sort of Captain Carter Maverick lane. Presumably that wins its lane because you're probably like, ideally what you want to do is like have Captain Carter in the 2nd position, Maverick in the 3rd, Prodigy the Captain Carter, and then that hits the Maverick, and then the Maverick gives the Brood 8 billion points, and also, oh, by the way, you have 2 Captain Carters in a lane, you're not losing it, right? That's typically how it ends up going. And that's a very powerful thing to be doing on its own, and it's even more powerful if you are compounding that output with things like Mother Askani and Storm. I won't say Captain Carter's the most important card in the deck, but it definitely doesn't work without her. I think maybe a good way to think about it is the core cards in this deck, to me, are very much Captain Carter, Maverick, Prodigy, Brood, Mother Askani, maybe the 1-drops, but mostly that's kind of the premise, and then maybe Storm, probably Storm. But really what this deck is about is these group of 3s, right? Like you're built for the thing I described. Your nut draw is the thing I described earlier, which is just 2 Captain Carters in a lane, both of them affecting a Maverick. The Maverick is a jillion points. You like Maverick a Brood for 20 and it's 60 power. Like that's the thing you're trying to do. And it's a very interactable with thing, but it is right now something that a lot of people are just sort of not prepared for, and they just get got by it. And Captain Carter is the linchpin on which this strategy rests, which should also give anyone trying to beat it a big hint as to what they should be doing. Maverick's great, just an unbelievable card. To quote Heart of the Cards, it's very good to make it a Maverick big. That is what this deck is built around doing. You are a big fan of making the Maverick big. A couple of notes, by the way, if you have like a Maverick in a Captain Carter lane, and you're like, I would like to Brood Surfer on the final turn of the game, make sure you Surfer first. I know that doesn't sound right, but if you have a Maverick in a Captain Carter lane, and you are going to use that Maverick on the Brood, buffing the Carter with the Surfer and also the Maverick means you will have more output on that Brood. So keep that one in mind. Surfer's kind of just here. Your best enablers by far are Mother Askani and Storm. Those are the ones that are going to enable you to do the ridiculous stuff most of the time. Surfer is just here for the worlds where you just have like a pretty anemic draw and you're just kind of doing things. And then at the end of the game, you're looking at your lanes and you're like, oh, well, I mean, I do have a Captain Carter and a Maverick in the same lane, and the Maverick's maybe at 4 power, but if I play this Silver Surfer, I'll buff the Captain Carter, and then I'll buff the Maverick, and then it'll be 8 power, and that's a 24 power Brood. It's like, okay, you know, that's enough to play the game, and that's really what Silver Surfer is doing in this list. This is very far from being a Silver Surfer list. He's here to help you limp. Hope Summers is here mostly because of those games that I mentioned earlier, where your hand is just like a bunch of cards you really don't want to play on 3. One of the things you notice with this deck is you're just sitting there a lot of the time and you're like, my entire hand is just cards I would like to target with a buff, but I don't have any buffs and I really don't want to skip turn 3. In those situations, you play a Hope Summers and she makes everything better because not only is she going to give you additional energy that'll help you get all those cards out of your hand, she allows you to not skip turn 3. The man, the myth, the legend, Prodigy, very much a core card here. This is a card that is going to do a couple of different things. The first is just baseline. You play a Maverick, then you play Agony Prodigy. You activate the Maverick on the Prodigy. You have a bigger Maverick, and that can just beat people. Like, you can just actually be like, here's an 8-power Maverick. That's just good enough to beat you somehow. Like, that is a lot. We've seen what Sholau can do with that, and we have a Brood in our deck, so here's 24 power. Like, that kind of stuff, just baseline is pretty strong in a deck like this. And so you have this like card that is a part of so many of your draws. This is a card that can copy a Wolverine, but this is a card that can copy a Mother Askani. A lot of the time you'll be able to do things like play like the fact that this does double duty copying Mother Askani and also Captain Carter and also Maverick. That's what the deck is. Those are the 3 cards that are the deck. You love this guy. Wolverine's just kind of here. He has like some nice utility, but mostly it's just I like copying a 4 with my Mother Askani, and he's a pretty cool 4 to copy because she basically immediately turns him on. And so you have just 2 Wolverines that each represent 15 power distributed across the board, and you're just basically playing the sickest Doctor Doom of all time. You just play 2 Wolverines, and it's like, oh, that's Doctor Doom. I just played 2 Doctor Dooms. That's what it ends up being. And you're like, oh, wow, that's pretty sick, right? Actually, I mean, like, realistically, each one, because they got the Mother Askani-Buff, right, they're going to represent more than 15 power. It's 17, if I'm doing my math correctly. It's quite a card when you're getting it for free and also allowing you to play 2 on the same turn. But I think it's very replaceable. We talked about Juggernaut in the intro. You could also try maybe an Iska here. There just wants to be a 4-drop in this deck for curve purposes, and he's one that kind of fits. Also, of course, you can still do all the other stuff that you want to do with this card, like putting him in a Captain Carter lane to trigger him that way, or giving him an Agony to trigger him that way. But mostly, I think the times I played him were when I Mother Askani'd. Let's talk about Mayor Zoran Momskani. This is quite a card. It is one of the stronger cards in the immediate post-nerf metagame to me, and I think that is very awkward for Marvel Snap, considering what they just tried to deal with. I respect them trying to deal with doublers in the way that they did, but it's not really what I meant when I did my video. Like, when I did my video that was like, Marvel Snap needs to deal with synergy creep and doublers, I didn't mean Wong. I meant Frigga. I meant this thing. And instead, they were like, we should nerf Wong and then release better Frigga. Like, that is crazy to me. Like, I've had people come in his stream and ask, like, what do you think about the nerfs? I know you were concerned about doublers. I did not. I think I was pretty clear about what I meant. I don't think I mentioned Wong in that video once. I don't think I mentioned Onslaught in that video once, but I talked a lot about Frigga, Absorbing Man, Grandmaster, and they are still here, but those guys are gone. I think that this is a remarkably powerful card that feels like the thing this deck is doing to an extreme degree. I also think that, like, unlike a Star-Lord, say, which I think people will jump to the comparison for, there are cards you can play to beat this. I mean, you can beat the front half of it with Mobius. You can beat the back half of it with Shadow King. I would be unsurprised if that was a thing that started happening because of the power of this card. But again, unlike Star-Lord, there are actually things you can do. Like, you could be like, oh, I'd like to do this and actually beat this without having to worry about, like, here's how the game has to play out for my counter card to work. It will just work. And I do think there's some upside to that. But this is a very strong card. All right, y'all, I hope you enjoy it, or don't enjoy it, as you are willing to do. I think that this is a deck that has a lot of potential coming into this new meta, and I'm recording this a day early because I seriously, like, was considering putting this out before the Day 1 Decks video because that's how excited I was about this. But I'm going to put it on the Day 1 Decks video and then do the more breakdown, today now that you're watching it. I think that's the right content decision. Let me know if you agree or disagree. As always, I've been KMBest. You've been phenomenal. I will see you in the next one. Enjoy the gameplay. Okay. I'm grateful that I'm getting that, is how we're going to phrase this. It's a reasonably large Maverick angle. I have 7 energy. We're giving them cards that probably aren't very good. See how things go. See how fucked I get by whatever this Mother Askani is. Curio. Age. That's sick, dude. Look at how big those guys are. Anywho. Do I even need to do that? Don't I just get... Isn't this just... They go to 16 here? No, I do. Red Hulk on his own does not win mid. But unless they draw, like, a really good card, I think we are beating their ass here. I don't think I gave them enough stuff with power. So they get 8 more power than this, which is not enough to win the middle. I respect it. Close. That was crazy. What's that Mysterio interaction? Luke Cage. That is our friend Lucas Cage. Horrendous. Okay, I got all the win on the Stark Industries. That's super nice. Is it worth doing Askani on this brood even with Stardust on the board? I'm pretty sure the answer is just yes. Because it's just like several fairly cheap guys.
Snap.
We can Surfer mid Prodigy, right? We could, but like this is quite a card, is quite a combination of things to do as well. Card of Maximus. What is happening here? All right, so my instinct as to what we're actually doing here is Prodigy, Brood, goes Prodigy, Brood. You know, it's the ones that are brooded. Brood, Surfer. About right to me. The real question is like, are we in the business of moving this, right? Yeah, that makes more sense, you know? Okay, that could fuck us. Okay. Didn't yet. Now I think it can't kill us. Yep. Needed 2 really good hits from them if they wanted to make that happen. This game isn't proof of it. Ooh, hello. Don't know what that means, but that's going to be 16 power. What do you suppose playing a Red Hulk means? I would like to... Am I getting Galactus? I think it's so fucked up to Mother Askani a Captain Carter that I'm just going to go for the Maverick here and say 4 is fine. Interesting. So this is going to be an Aurora deck? I see the force is strong with you as well. That is unfortunate.
Opponent snapped.
Wait. I assume we win. But who knows what they copied? Can we Carter Crawler now? Over Hope, you think, on that left lane? I'll snap and see how it goes. That's a big Red Hulk, dude. Is that the thing they copied? Oh, it is. Why are they snapping copying a Red Hulk? We are chill. That is so chill. This is 20. Is it enough? Or would we rather? First play wins. Part of me is thinking I do this. Yeah, I think we're good. It is well above 27. Oh, it hit the Captain Carter too for the rub-ins. Surfer was 4, which would have been 10 more. We would have gone to 40 there. I think it would have just been the nuts. Sage. What was Sage playing? Oh, the Red Hulky deck, right. I realize that I am costing myself Mother Askani power if I Grandmaster it. I understand that. That is fascinating. Who's doing it better? So I get Brood Wolverine if I want it here. Which I believe I do. And then this plays for 14 in the middle. I just assume I'm snapping this and they're leaving. We are adding 8 to every lane. Isn't Brood worse than 1 Wolverine? Brute is 12. One Wolverine is... Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe Brute is worse than one Wolverine. Okay, we'll triple Wolverine instead. Wolverine. Is this the angle? Probably not even supposed to move the Nightcrawler. Wolverine. Not gonna think about it. Did I think about it? Whatever. Surely we just won. Like, they are adding 9 here, which is actually going to be 11 here. It's a lot. Am I off base? Should I actually be doing... Yeah, this doesn't win. We got to do... Got to do this. This is it. If I win, I add a shitload to the left with these Wolverines. We're fine. We're fine. Here's a million power. Wolverines across the board. I'm not saying it's impossible to get there, but I do think you'd have to be like, whoa.
Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man here.
Painful. I meant to do. Can't be that bad. Wait. I would rather... Would I rather copy the Captain Carter or the Prodigy? Ugh, that's actually quite a question. I think it's Cap. Feeding into that. I think what we just do is It's just this. Yeah, we're just doing danger room roulette here, huh? Oh. We're doing I fucking lose the game? Wait, no, now they're not played there. Hold on. 6 and 6, they affect each other. What happens? Hey! I get a whole back line now. Look at that. They're afraid of a surfer. Maybe that's what it is. Hope Summers. All right. Hope Summers. Thinking there's no way I lose left. No, that was the thing. It's like he's kind of not thinking that. That's what I mean. He's playing like he will lose left. Weird about it. I don't really feel like I need to play anything. I've got energy if I want it. Chilling. I'm all right. E-hand Frigga? I mean, like, this is... If I draw a Mother Askani, I think I win the game instantly. Draw a Captain Carter. That's quite a card as well. I think they'll feel pretty compelled to be a snapper about this, and they maybe shouldn't be. Seen the David Mack Hope Summers? I haven't actually. Yeah, double your shit, man. Go off. Now if I draw Mother Askani, it's super lit. A pretty compelling go here, though. Hand. Love it. I love what you're cooking here. I don't know how we lose other than 2 Shadow Kings. 2 Gambits might do it. We'll see. Nope. Brood for a billion. Billions and billions of broods. Everyone must brood. Billions must brood. I'm stupid. My bad. Man Spider's kind of hilarious. Yeah, motherfucker. Madam Web, that. Huh? Billions must brood. Wolf feels very 12th card. Interesting. That is because he is. Boy, I mean, I'm staying. I feel like I'm doing things that are fucked. I feel like what I am doing is deeply, deeply messed up. I hear you, dude. Like, even with that, I'm like, I'm really not sure you beat me. Is that a random prof? Holy shit. What's their plan to like win the game? I have no idea what happens. Cosmo, I mean, it might work. They just not play a card. They just Sparkied to the middle. I think I mathed that. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure I mathed that. Anywho, hello. I'd like you to meet my incredibly obnoxious broods. This is the one I was thinking they would do. Yeah, I mean, I guess if they're doing that, they can't ever actually play a card this turn.